release of Toy Story 4, that means it's time to go through and rank every single Toy Story film. We have 4 films to rank from worst to best, but let's be honest, with this franchise, and especially to me, it's more from best to better, or in general, they're kind of all on the same level because they really interswitch a lot. I've seen Toy Story 4 around 3 times now. It's definitely time, and I feel very well about this list. So, before we get into this, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys are new here for all sorts of ranking videos, early movie reviews, geeky content, and also make sure to comment down below and let me know what your ranking is. Starting at number 4, it is the original Toy Story film. Now, I have no really issues with this film. I think it's really cool how they took the design of Sid and made this film in a sense a kind of a little bit of a horror film with all the monsters. And one of my favorite things is like, oh my god, they're toys that are cannibals. I love the reactions of Woody and Buzz within that room, and the relationship that their friendship starts to bond over this whole film is one of the strongest parts about it. Now, something that doesn't hold up to today is the animation. The animation is obviously dated because it's from 1995, but still, that doesn't mean it's bad. At the time, that was like the most jaw-dropping animation. There still is actually quite a couple of things within the animation here that are superb. Toy Story 1 is just a very excellent and fun movie to that. There's so many very quotable lines, like, "You are a toy!" In general, it's one of the strongest scripts from Pixar. I think it's such a smart story, and the concept of it all is what started it all. Again, Toy Story is always really good at pushing these messages towards kids and also even adults, and I think this is something that the film touched on a lot. But coming in at number 3 is going to be Toy Story 3. Now, Toy Story 3 for me used to be my favorite one. After doing the rewatches, though, it dropped a bit, and it's not because I don't like the film, it's just for some reason the other two really stuck up for me. Toy Story 3 is a very emotional, grueling film for me, and I think there are some issues with the film, but honestly nothing that really gets in the way of the whole story. I think the ending is perfect. I think the opening is excellent, and it's probably one of my favorite openings to any Toy Story film besides Toy Story 4 now, but Toy Story 3 for me, it's fun how they really made this film into a prison break film, and in times it's actually a very dark and sinister film with everything that goes on with Lotso, but that's something that I appreciated that Pixar took. They really looked at this film, and this is the thing that I've always said about Pixar, is that they make films for adults that kids can watch. Now, given some films are more for kids than adults in the Pixar universe, but within Toy Story, I feel like that's how these films are layered out. Toy Story 3 in general, again, takes on that prison break element. It brings all the toys together that have to work together as this family, the last remaining toys of Andy, who are stuck in this daycare, who just want to leave, and their relationship and everything that entitles them. There's a lot of fun, mischief stuff to go on. One of those fun, mischief things is when Mr. Potato Head turns into a tortilla potato head, and that was really funny. The other thing I really do appreciate with this and everything that they add up to Bonnie's character and all of the other new toys you element, and that's something that I actually really like about this film, is all the new toys within the daycare at Bonnie's house and all those sorts of things coming together. There's so much fun to be had in there, and one of the main toys that Disney and Pixar in general always has at least one spot on casting in all these Toy Story films, and in this one it's Michael Keaton as Ken. Who knew Michael Keaton could be the best Ken that you could ever have? And Ken has some of the most standout lines throughout the whole entire film. I also really just like Lotso in general, and the way that they furthered out his villainous story and why he became who he was. It's kind of tragic in the same sense, and it's the way that I really like how they always put stuff in a toy's point of view. And ever since these Toy Story films, anytime I'm like around a toy, I feel like I have to be a little bit nicer to it. Coming in at number 2 is Toy Story 4. Now, I personally think Toy Story 4 could easily move up on this list really fast within the next couple of months to the next year, which I might have to do a re-ranking of this. The reason I really do feel this way, though, about Toy Story 4 is because I think this is a perfect film. I truly think this is a perfect film. I have no little small nitpicks to it, and any nitpick that I actually had going into the film that I'm like, oh, well, I hope they don't do this, even though it did happen, it went right out the door because of how the film was set up, how Josh Cooley decided to direct this film, and as a first-time director, what an excellent directorial debut. This is a fast-paced, energetic film that is hilarious top to bottom, and probably the most fun and the funniest Toy Story film of all time now. Like, when it comes down to these new side characters, which I was really worried about that we were going to get more of them than the older toys, which that actually did happen, my worries went away because Duke Kaboom is hilarious. Keanu Reeves is perfect casting. You got Key and Peele coming back to play as Bunny and Ducky, who are two excellent new carnival toys to add to the whole mix, and they have one of the funniest moments throughout the whole entire film. You jump right over to Forky, played by Tony Hale, who is excellent in here, and the villain in here, played by Christina Hendricks, called Gabby Gabby is something that I actually got very surprised by, because usually these villain characters I'm not the biggest fan of. I saw her in the trailers, I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. The way they play out her character is so cool and very iffy. It's very risky in the same time that Pixar decided to do it that way, but I applaud them for it, and I really liked what they did with Gabby Gabby, and Benson is, very creepy. It's everything that they had, all the animation and layouts they had from the opening scene to everything in the antique store, and the way that they furthered out, even though this film really takes place in certain central locations, the way that it looks so big to certain toys is great, and bringing back Bo Peep was just an excellent cherry on top. I have to mention Giggles McDimples, because Giggles McDimples, I think, is the most underrated character in this film. Really, overall, it's just a very emotional conclusion. I mean, Toy Story 3 had an excellent conclusion to Woody and Andy's story, and, we all cried at the end, but the thing with Toy Story 4 is it does have that emotional conclusion to Woody's story, which, yeah, there's going to be some tears dropping from my eyes. My favorite Toy Story film right now is Toy Story 2. There's a lot of nostalgia to this film. I probably hadn't watched this film in like 6 years until I rewatched it, and now I've actually rewatched this film like 3 times over the past couple of weeks after I'd done that first rewatch in forever. And that nostalgia feel goes to that this was the first film I ever saw in theaters. I think Toy Story 2 is a perfect action-adventure film. Funny, and it's hilarious, and it's also really emotional. And the way that Pixar took a risk by doing that whole Jessie flashback sequence with Randy Newman's music was incredible, and still to this date brings me to tears. It's the two plots that we have going along. We have Woody and everything that's going on with the collector toys, Jessie, Stinky Pete, and even Bullseye, but then you also go over to the parallel of Buzz and them trying to find Woody and save him from Al. There's even some fun Star Wars references in there with Zurg and Buzz, and another Buzz Lightyear comes into play with an awesome belt that Buzz just might want. One of my favorite scenes of all time in Toy Story history is when they're going across the street with the cones. It's something that's really memorable to me, and one of my favorite scenes is when I was younger. I would always rewatch that one for some reason, and every time Mr. Potato Head gets his foot stuck in the gum, I truly get worried, because I'm like, oh, is he gonna get hit this time? Even though I've seen the film countless times, that I know he survives. Toy Story 2 is a great adventure film. That kind of goes to every Toy Story film. They always flip the genre in some way, somehow. The first Toy Story film is kind of like a horror film. The second one is an action adventure film. The third film is a prison break movie. And the fourth film is a romantic comedy in some ways. More of a comedy, I guess, but a romantic comedy in that. Guys, that is my ranking for Toy Story. All the 4 Toy Story films. Like I said, it's more best to better. But let me know down below, guys, what are your guys' thoughts on the Toy Story franchise? Do you guys love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's a little overrated? Is this your favorite one of all time, just like me? I want to hear your ranking down below in the comments, guys. And of course, Toy Story 4 does come out tonight. You guys enjoy it. I'm definitely going to see it again. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. You guys should see all the best. So, until next time, yeah, you guys definitely have a friend in me. Make sure to go over to Sandwich on Films to see how you guys can see movies early, and stay classy.